welcome to the One Shine recap NCAA basketball show. We're coming to you live today on a Sunday, not our usual time, but it's been an interesting weekend since me and Travis are in Winston-Salem. I'm coming to you live from Kickback Jacks here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Got my co-host William Luke here today, and we're just going to talk some ball, talk about the upsets from this Saturday, talk about any other big games you want to, and maybe talk a little bit about some ball today. But yeah, you got anything you want to say before we get started, William?
I'm just happy to be here, man. Ready to talk some ball.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, man, what do you want to start with? You want to start in the SEC or what you thinking?
Let's just start. Yeah, we can start with those early games and kind of progress. I know the first big game of the day was Tennessee, Florida.
Yeah.
This was kind of a shocking game for how the season has been going for both squads. Mm-hmm. I know Florida back at the beginning of January dominated Tennessee. Only held Tennessee to like something crazy, like 35 points, I believe.
I think ironically it was similar to 44, which Tennessee just
44.
42. It was like the similar range of like within 40 points, like mid 40s.
I think Florida just had a game like Tennessee did, and Tennessee honestly didn't play that great. I mean, they just kind of ran their offense, and they didn't have Zakai Ziegler.
I was just about to say that, they were without Ziegler. And, Ziegler's, I'm pretty sure he's either, in some way, he's first in points and second in assists, I'm pretty sure, for Tennessee. So, it's not just some role player they're losing for a game. They're losing a guy who's been a starter for a couple years and plays meaningful minutes for that team. So, like I said in the group chat we were talking, I took Florida money line. I was like, they beat them last time they played. Tennessee's coming off a hard game against Auburn, in Auburn. And I thought this would be a spot where, all right, no Zakai Ziegler coming off the Auburn loss. This could be a spot for, Tennessee. If they're not paying attention, Florida could sneak up on them. And in the first half, it seemed that way. It really did. But in the second half, Tennessee just flipped that switch and started guarding them like nobody's business. Florida couldn't buy a bucket because this was a low-scoring game. At the half, Florida at the half. Let me look at the play-by-play real quick. At the end of the first, Florida had 21 points. So for the rest of the game, they only scored 23 points. That's insane. That's ridiculous. When Tennessee is guarding teams like this, they can beat anybody. Anybody.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee just played excellent defense. As I said, Zakai Ziegler, their floor general, was out, and it's just such a shocking score for how Florida has played offensively all year. Scoring only 44 points. I took a look and I was like, dang. Because we'll kind of get into it later. I was kind of following the score. I was at the Wake Forest Pitt game, which we'll get into later, but this is kind of a shocking score. Florida started out hot, and it was in the lead early in the first half, and then just didn't do much for the rest of the game. Just fell apart.
Yeah,
so
it's just wild stuff, man. It just shows you, in the SEC, every week you got to bring your A game. You have to, or you're going to get blown out on the road. My team, Auburn, right? We haven't lost in conference play yet, but I feel like we're going to drop a road game eventually. I mean, we have to. We can't keep winning on the road with how good the SEC is. It feels impossible. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of getting into Auburn in a minute, but Auburn, they played great, but they may be sometimes you just let it get to your head and you drop one on the road.
Yeah.
Drop a game you consider easy on the road.
I mean, yeah, as what you said, dude, we're just kind of going to Auburn now if we're going to pivot to that a little bit. And they had an earlier game as well. They took care of business on the road against Ole Miss in a game where the free throw discrepancy favored Ole Miss. But the difference maker was Auburn shot 50% from three. That's what makes this team so dangerous, in my opinion. I've watched every game this Auburn team's played in. We saw last week at Tennessee where it was just a defensive slugfest. Neither team could really get anything going offensively, and teams were both sides guarding each other. But to me, this just proves that Auburn is the front runner and the number one unanimous number team in the nation. Is they can win in a multitude of different ways. Against Tennessee, it was a grinded out defensive slugfest, and then against Ole Miss, they had to put up a little more points to win. Like they can beat you in so many different ways, no matter which way you want to throw it at them.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the Auburn Ole Miss game kind of after, in between that and the race time. And Auburn, I mean, they just took care of business. Ole Miss played good offensively. Yeah. The difference was that 3-point shooting for Auburn. They hit every clutch three. And Ole Miss, you mentioned they had a lot of free throws, but they didn't shoot that great from the free throw line.
Yeah.
They kind of cost them sort of that 10-point difference is from their free throw shooting.
Yeah, I mean, and when I was watching this game, this game when I woke up Saturday morning, I was like, all right, this one scares me. You know, like Ole Miss is a good basketball team. We're going to their place. We're coming off a game against Tennessee. I was nervous about this one. I was. But regardless, we're coming off a game against LSU, a road game. Every time Ole Miss would, bring it back, close, someone on Auburn would make a big play. Whether it was Janai Broom, whether it was Chad Baker-Mazara, whether it was Fahad Pettiford, Miles Kelly, Denver Jones, someone always on this Auburn roster seemed to have an answer for what Ole Miss was trying to do. And shout out Sean Padula. He had an incredible game against us.
Oh, yeah, he did. He really did.
Horrible. Props to him, dude. I know they lost, but he's such a good player, man. Anytime he drove, he was either getting the bucket or he was hitting a foul call. He was just awesome. But yeah,
I know he just pulled up some of the highlights.
Yeah,
Sean Padula was driving to the lane every time.
He was unstoppable. It didn't matter what we did. It didn't matter what primary defender we put on him. He was just right there. He was getting his own way. It's just one of those things where guys, when they're on fire, they're on fire. And you just have to kind of tip your hat and go, all right, good job. You can't really be mad about it. We played him well defensively. He was just having a good game. And we still won, but he's just a really good player. Let's see. You got anything else you want to add about that, Jacob? Okay. I thought we should go. We got to talk about Missouri. No one's talking about Missouri. Nobody.
I'm a big believer in Missouri this year.
Yeah.
I really like Dennis Gates as a coach. I've mentioned it in previous episodes. They had a really bad year last year, but they bounced back successfully. They dominated Mississippi State yesterday.
A good team.
I know. And they've been heating up too. I know they've only played Auburn a while back. I don't think they were as good of a team then. I think they're getting better as the season goes on, and they're going to be a contender. If Auburn and Alabama screw up, they're going to be right there.
I was just about to bring that up. They're sitting there in third place, sitting at 17-4 and 6-2 conference record, and no one's looking at Missouri. All they're looking at is Auburn and Alabama at the top, but no one's talking about Missouri. And Missouri, they're just that snake in the weeds right there that no one's looking at, and they're going to get a few teams if they don't start respecting Missouri. Missouri is a very good basketball team that's not being talked about enough. They're super good.
I really think they're going to upset Tennessee on Wednesday night. I
don't think that's crazy.
I watched 2 years ago. I watched Missouri. They played Tennessee. Tennessee led most of the game, and Missouri came right back at the end. They had those two guards. I forget their name. The one I think they're both in the NBA. At least one of them was.
Mm-hmm.
It was Dennis Gates' first team, which was around the 32 NCAA team, but they just dominated Mississippi State. I didn't watch much of it, but I saw that final score and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
And like I said, I think Mississippi State's a solid basketball team. Like I really do. And just Missouri just had their way with them. I mean, my gosh, this Missouri team's legit. Like, I'm ready to put them in that mix of like an SEC contender. Like, I think it's either going to be Auburn or Alabama that wins the regular season in the SEC. But I'm not counting out Missouri either. I'm just not. And like as well, let me see something real quick.
I believe they play through their guards. Talking about Missouri, they just have physical guard play.
Yeah.
And like Mississippi State is a good team. Chris Jans is a good coach. I do know that. So for them to get skunked on their home court like that, I mean, Missouri, they look like could be a deep run NCAA team.
Yeah, I agree. And also, on Wednesday, February 19th, Alabama has to go to Missouri and play them there.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a big game right there and determine who finishes like where in the SEC rankings. Like, let's say Auburn drops a few, right? For some reason, like, who knows? Maybe they just drop a few games. Let's just say this plays hypothetical real quick. And it's Bama, Missouri, duking it out for the SEC regular season. And Missouri wins that game at home against Alabama. Does that determine who wins the SEC regular season? It very well could. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that Auburn has dropped a few games because why would I assume that when they haven't done that all year and they look like the most complete team in college basketball? But you have to look at that and go, okay, it's not an impossible thing to see Missouri winning the SEC regular season, which I didn't see many people saying that preseason, which is crazy to me. But yeah, let's see. You got anything else you want to add to that, Jacob?
Not much. I'm a big believer in Missouri.
I am too after yesterday. Because winning on the road is hard. Winning on the road in the SEC is even harder. And they did it. They dominated crazy. But anyway, I feel like we have to talk about this now. Coach Cal in Arkansas going back to Kentucky. It delivered in every way you wanted. Like, as a college basketball fan, it was everything you could ever want. Like, and honestly, good for Coach Cal going back and getting a win there. Like, good for him.
I know Coach Cal's Arkansas really needed this win to get some momentum because they've struggled in SEC play so far.
I mean,
it's been a struggle on the season. I just think there's a lot of inexperience there in Arkansas's roster, other than Janelle Davis sucking, which we talked about on our podcast. But Kentucky, they're kind of at a tipping point right now. I mean, they've had some great wins. After beating Tennessee, this week. They were due for a letdown. So it's a big Kentucky fans. They don't really have anything to boo about because Calipari beat them on their own court.
See, we were talking about this earlier in the group chat, about, should they boo Cal? Should they not boo Cal? And in my mind, I think it's fine if they boo Cal. It didn't end well there. Both sides weren't happy with each other, and that's why Cal left. And if you want to boo your former coach coming into your home arena, be my guest. Because as an Auburn guy, if I was in the same spot, I would probably boo whatever former coach was coming in there as well. So I get it. College basketball is the second highest level of college basketball on the planet, only behind the NBA. So these guys pretty much now with NIL and such are pro athletes. And these coaches get paid millions of dollars a year. Coach Cal can handle getting booed at. And I guarantee you, with this win, he doesn't care. He'll get booed 20 more times to admit Arkansas beat Kentucky. And you can tell that Arkansas's players, who some of them are former Kentucky players, ironically, they had this game circled on their calendar. They wanted this one. They wanted to win this one big. and they did. And they showed up for their coach. So, as I said, good for Cal. This has to be silver lining for him, going back to a place that pretty much, wanted nothing to do with him and vice versa. So, good for Cal. I'm not a huge Coach Cal fan, but good for him. Like, good. Maybe Arkansas can turn around and get some momentum going. Who knows?
Yeah, they need to just win to stay alive for any shot at the NCAA tournament. So Arkansas pretty much has to win most of their big games from here on out.
Yeah, I mean,
to stay alive.
If we could pull up the schedule of Arkansas real quick, I'm pretty sure they have a rough road to hoe. Like, this was a huge win, but you got to look at what they have upcoming. Like, they go to Texas. That's not going to be a slouch. They bring in Alabama. They have LSU. They go to Texas A&M, go to Auburn, invite Missouri in, have Texas coming in, go to South Carolina. And, like, South Carolina's kept a lot of games close this year. Like, they may not have an impressive record, but I still think South Carolina is one of those teams that is better than their record portrays. They've just lost a bunch of close games to better teams.
Yeah, it's just a tough road in the SEC this year. If you're average team, if you're a team like Arkansas or South Carolina, you're not going to have many easy wins. So.
And you hate it for them. It's like, they're a solid, like, respectable basketball team. But with how deep and good the SEC is, it's tough to find wins in this conference, man. It really is. But that's all I got for that if you want to add anything more.
Don't really have much for that.
Okay. And I feel like this was, other than maybe Coach Cal going back to Kentucky, this is probably the game that was most, like, looked ahead to was Duke UNC. Even though UNC has been great this year, anytime you have a big rivalry like that, it's going to get talked about, especially when you have a candidate for a National Player of the Year involved with Duke's Cooper Flag. But, I mean, this was never really a game. Duke dominated from the tip. Cooper Flag did his thing. He had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks. Like, he dominated this game just like every other game he has. And now that we've already talked about Auburn, and we're talking about this now with Cooper Flag, the National Player of the Year race is probably going to go all year long. Like, it's not going to be decided until, like, the last game has been played. Like, whoever wins this. And, like, I want Broome to win it, obviously. I'm an Auburn guy, but I don't think there's a wrong answer for who should win it between Broome or Flag.
I think right now, Cooper Flag probably has the edge just because he's on a team where he has to play more, score more. Broome has a lot of different options, so he's not scoring as much, When you have like 3 or 4 other fifth-year players, a bunch of fifth-year players, it's hard to get everyone looks, and you just pass out when he doesn't have a good look. So he's probably not going to average the most points. So he's not going to. His stat lines won't seem as impressive to like media types, if that makes sense.
No, I definitely think that media like driven is a big part of who's going to win for sure. And like the true freshman at Duke probably is going to win it over the like 5th-year senior at Auburn. Like that's just from like a perspective thing. But however, to push back a little bit and give Broome kind of like that argument and like that, well, he's doing this. Even when he's like not the main focal point in the offense scoring, he's getting other guys involved. Like on Auburn, he does everything for them. He leads Auburn in points. He leads Auburn in assists. He leads Auburn in rebounds. He leads Auburn in blocks. Like he's doing everything for this team, and he's the main focus, like the focal point of this team. Like he's the leader, like the unquestioned leader of this team and best player on the number 1 team in the nation. Like I think that should be why Broome should win it, in my opinion. But like I said, if Broome doesn't win it and Cooper Flag does, I'm not going to be upset and crying about it. Like both are deserving candidates, but I think Broome, from what we've seen this season, probably should win it over Cooper Flag. Just my opinion.
Yeah, it just depends. It just depends on who stays healthy down the stretch.
Yeah.
I
mean,
if Auburn keeps rolling, I know.
We're talking about the National Player of the Year award too. Is that you need to look at the competition they're playing. One plays in the SEC, the most loaded conference in America, and the other plays in the ACC. that should have some merit to it as well as the competition they're facing. Like if Cooper Flag has an off night and Duke's on the road somewhere, they'll probably be okay because the ACC is not a loaded conference. If Jahmai Broome has an off night and Auburn has an off night on the road in the SEC, they're probably going to lose. So, like, Broome has to play his best every night or Auburn's not going to win on the road. Like, if Broome didn't have a good game against Ole Miss, we don't win that game. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard, especially when Broome's had that injury too. I mean, that being out even like 2 games might lose you in this kind of a national player race. Might lose you the award in this kind of a national player of the year race. So,
I mean, yeah, he missed 2 games really, but like, it's just 2 games, and then after that, he did skip a beat. Like, he had a big impact against Tennessee. He had 26 and 12 against LSU. He had 20 and 13 last night against Ole Miss. Like, he's still getting double doubles and sometimes even triple doubles at Auburn. Like, it's not like he like came back from injury and is just not playing well. But I concur. Anyway,
yeah.
But Louisville got a big win, or no, excuse me, Louisville got upset in the road by Georgia State.
Yeah,
Did you get a chance to go to that one?
Yeah, there's a lot of upsets this week, and one of them was Georgia Tech over Louisville.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming because Georgia Tech's kind of been one of the bottom ACC teams.
Yeah.
Shout out Jaden Stoudemire. He's struggled there so far in his first 2 seasons. I haven't really heard much out of anything out of them. So,
I mean, yeah, dude. Like Louisville is third in the ACC, only behind Duke and Clemson for overall conference record, and Georgia Tech was like 10th, I believe.
And Louisville just came off of a win where they dominated Wake Forest on Tuesday. I believe Tuesday night.
I don't think anybody saw this one coming.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, just that's rough. That's rough. I mean,
the old adage is it's tough to win on the road, and I mean, yeah, that rings true here.
Yeah.
I didn't watch much of it. What?
I don't think this is going to be like a killer for Louisville season or anything, but it's definitely a tough loss to go back and look at.
Especially like in the ACC seeding race, like for the tournament, this could cost them 1 or 2 seeds. Especially with like Wake Forest getting a big win at home yesterday, and just depends on how Clemson does too.
Yeah,
as well.
Very true, but man, that Florida State Boston College ending. If you're an FSU fan, I mean, where do you even go from here? Like, how do you you're up 5, or no, excuse me, you're up like 7 with 14 seconds to go, and then you just blow that lead. Like, it's just, man, in every facet, it's been such a tough year for FSU. They seemingly, I feel like in every sport, they find ways to lose this year. I mean, just like I said, if we could pull that clip up of them allowing – here we go. We got it right here. Just the way they just blew this lead, man, is just insane to me. Like, I don't know how you do this at a college basketball level. Let's see if we can get this started right here. Yeah, here we go. Have you watched this yet, Jacob?
Yes, I have. I saw it on Twitter last night.
I mean, it's just the epitome of brutality. I mean, it's just
I if that happened to me, I don't think I would be functioning. As a college fan, if that happened to Purdue or ETSU losing like that,
I mean, it's just absolutely brutal. I mean, when you're up 5 or 7, whatever it was exactly, with 10 seconds to go, you assume you're going to win it. And they had a chance to win it here too, but their layup got blocked. They had a shot at winning it after they blew that lead. It's just insane, man. I mean, I don't know what's going to take for them to fire their coach. If this isn't the move that gets the coach fired, I don't know what will.
I feel like it's time for Leonard Hamilton to retire
Yeah.
peacefully.
Yeah. I like the
Air quotes forced retirement. I mean, that's happened. I think Jim Larinaga was a forced retirement already this season. I think it happened to Mike D'Antoni's brother, Dan D'Antoni at Marshall, and some other places here recently. A lot of the old guard is young retiring. Yeah.
I mean, look at this graph right here. He's got pulled up. Like, what are we showing? FSU had a 95% chance to win.
With 45 seconds left, within a minute left.
That is just absurd, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that. Just crazy.
That's about like freaking Tristan McGrady's like 13 points in like under a minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know. I hate seeing stuff like that because, like, I can only imagine how I would feel if that was my team.
Mm-hmm.
It's heartbreaking, dude.
Yeah, just a heartbreaking loss.
But, yeah.
I don't have anything else. Just crazy. One of the crazier finishes of the day.
Yeah, I mean, where do you want to go from here? We got,
I think we should go talk about the Texas Tech Houston game.
I was actually going to suggest that, so you read. Yeah. You want to start us off with that? You got any opinions on that?
That was a crazy game. Went to overtime. I was kind of watching that game on my phone as well.
Yeah.
What a big win for Texas Tech in the Big 12 title race. Houston, I didn't figure this game would be that high scoring, but both teams had pretty good offensive days.
Yeah.
I didn't really see the stats as much. I just saw Texas Tech kept it close the whole game. Houston usually known for their physical defense.
Yeah.
At number 6, they're definitely going to drop, but probably not too far. But Houston, after a big win against Kansas, they drop one to Texas Tech. Looks like LJ Cryer had the biggest was the leading scorer for Houston. Not sure who led for Texas Tech.
I mean, I think the reason Texas Tech won this game was ironically because JT Toppin got ejected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you had to watch it. I know you were at the races and at the Wake Forest game, but like after JT Toppin got ejected, Texas Tech just started playing with a different energy. Like you could tell, like it ticked them off. It didn't rub them. Like it rubbed them the wrong way. And just ever since then, Texas Tech played with like a confidence. They played hard. What's up, Trav?
Hey, how's it going?
But
I see you at the race, Travis.
But yeah, man, just like that JT Toppin ejection is just really kind of what got Texas Tech rolling. Is like, all right, one of our guys got ejected for a crappy reason. You know, let's go ahead and win this thing. Let's do this. Let's win this game for him. It felt like a lot like that, like a rallying around their guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like to me. But yeah, that's for Texas Tech, and that's a big game for the Big 12 title race. That really is. It's a massive one.
Mm-hmm. Because Texas Tech, I mean, I'm a big believer in Grant McCaslin as the head coach there.
Yeah.
He's going on the road and getting an overtime win. That's a gritty win. It's tough to win against Houston. These past 3 years, Houston has been sort of a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
Both in the American and now the Big 12. Sampson, Ralph Sampson, but Kelvin Sampson. He has a physical style of ball. He's implemented. He's built Houston into one of the preemptive powers in America. So to get a win on the road there is huge for a Texas Tech team that's kind of had a different identity, or a set identity, or a different identity from Chris Beard to Mark Adams to now Grant McCaslin.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most impressive thing to me was that they scored 82 on a very good Houston defense without their leading scorer in JT Toppin. Like, I know I keep going back to that, but that's just so impressive to me. Like putting up 82 against a very good Houston defense and a good team at their own their own stadium or their arena, just crazy to me. Like, I mean, just mad props to Ted Stead for that win. Really, really, really makes things interesting in the Big 12 over there. Really love that win for them. But yeah, next up, I feel like we've kind of covered that one enough. I had we talked about Kansas at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what an implosion from Kansas at the half there.
I know I didn't see that coming. Baylor's kind of been struggling down the stretch ever since. They got blown out by Gonzaga at the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Made people hyped up on Gonzaga more than they should have been. I will get to that later, but Kansas continues to implode. They had all that talent, all those portal guys they paid just to go. I've not been a big believer in Kansas. We talked about it ad nauseum on the show. Just talking about Hunter Dickinson and AJ Store, and all kinds of. They really needed Travis. They really needed that Tech win.
That was a big one.
It was a big one.
But yeah, dude, like just about like Kansas, man. They were up 40-21 at the half.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Baylor team that have been kind of, in a little bit of like a free fall, not playing super well. Like, how do you allow that to happen? Like, you have, like you said, you went and got these guys from the portal. You have Hunter Dickinson, who's one of the more experienced players in the nation, and I think a good player. Like, the fact that you allowed that to, like, lose and end up losing by 11, crazy. Like, I think Kansas, like, preseason, I thought Kansas would be a team in the mix to go and win the national title, like, be in that mix. But now I'm like, I don't know, man. You lose on the road to a Baylor team that's not, like, doing super well. That's a tough look for Kansas and Bill Self. That's just a tough look. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, they just Kansas just has no leadership. There's no leadership there. It's just all about me. They really don't look like a team.
Yeah.
If I had to say, they're just kind of They're just kind of all flash and no substance. If that makes sense.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see where they end up, like, ranked as a seeding and seeing who they play in the first and second round. Because that could be a team that's, like, primed for an upset if they get, like, the wrong team paired up against them.
They almost got upset by Stanford last year for a much better Kansas team.
Yeah.
They were a much better team last year. So there very well could be a 13 or 12 seed or 14 seed that upsets them.
That's neat. Yeah, no, I fully agree. But I'm having to move real quick. My laptop's about to die. I'm plugging it in. Let's see what we got next. You got anything else you want to add to that before we hit it?
I do not. Just there's so many upsets. It was like from like around like 6th on back. There's just like 6 or 7 upsets of top 25 teams.
I think staying in the Big 12, that's one we should talk about. Is Kansas State and Jerome Tang beating Iowa State.
That might have been the biggest upset of the day.
It's up
there. That was the biggest upset of the day. By the way. Yeah.
I mean, at the half, it was 37-35 Kansas State. And after that, it was all Kansas State domination. Like, Kansas State led the entire second half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the entire, Iowa State would make runs to try to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State just always responded. Just did. That's such an impressive win against a really good Iowa State team. I'm not selling my stock on Iowa State yet. That's too early to do all that. But it's not a good look, to lose at your own arena against a Kansas State team that have been struggling all year.
Mm-hmm. I do know. I think Jerome Tang is too good of a coach to have the record he does
Yeah.
right now. I think Iowa State they kind of have gotten after uh, after having some big wins here recently. They just kind of gotten complacent. They're a great team, but I don't know. I'm not sold on them as a team. I see them as like an Elite Eight team, maybe, but not. I wouldn't say they're a Final Four contender
You
at
don't
this
think they can
point.
win at all, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. They can go deep in March, but I don't think they're a championship contender
Yeah.
at this point.
No, I think that's fair. I really do. But yeah, I think the next one that I kind of want to. You got any other games or anything you want to add to that before you pivot?
Mhm.
Man, this could be like before I go to this game. I think the two teams that have separated themselves from the rest of college basketball currently are Auburn and Duke. Like those two seem like the top two at the moment, but this is a team that has the pedigree, has a championships the last couple of years. UConn getting a win at Marquette. Like if UConn can figure things out, like Dan Hurley's probably still the best coach in college basketball. I think that's pretty fair to say. However, like if UConn can get this thing rolling, that's scary for the rest of the nation. It just is. Because no one let's say UConn's in that 8-9 seed range, right? Nobody wants to see that. Like you don't want to see that as your second round opponent. You just don't.
Mhm.
And that's a scary draw for any team. Like
I think UConn has been an up and down team. They don't have great defense.
yeah.
Their Solo Ball is a great player. Caravan is a great player, but them beating Marquette, I think Marquette struggled down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
They started off the year on fire, and it's kind of just fallen asleep these past couple weeks. They lost to Xavier, almost lost to Nepal.
Yeah.
Just kind of gone through the motions. I fully expected UConn to beat Marquette yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, UConn, they're still a good team. So like, if they lose more games, they very well could be an 8-9 seed type down the stretch. But it was a big win for them against Marquette to help get them to the higher seed line at least. Maybe it's 6 or 7 at this point.
I guess my point of just bringing up Auburn and Duke is like the two teams that have kind of separated is like with the past couple years UConn has had winning 2 back-to-back titles. I mean, is that really a team that you don't 100% think can't get to that point? Like they can't become an elite team eventually? Like I'm not going to bet against Dan Hurley figuring some things out with UConn and being one of the better teams and getting better as the year goes along.
I don't see them. Of course, that potential is there, but I just don't see it with this UConn team. I don't think they have the interior presence to go deep in March.
I mean, they might not. You could 100% be
Yeah,
right.
I think they're more of a round of 32, Sweet 16 type team.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that ceiling and upside is there. Like if this team figures things out and they're hitting on all cylinders, I don't want to see them in March. I really don't.
I wouldn't want to see them either, but it really just depends on their matchups when it comes down the stretch. Because if they play a team that just knows how to, has a big man, or has a lot of shooters, when they play teams that are matched up well with them, sort of have a similar style, they dominate. But when they play teams that don't slow the pace down and spread the ball around, they kind of lose focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean.
Because we saw that with them losing to Colorado and Maui.
Yeah.
Same thing with losing to Dayton and Maui and Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all I got for that UConn game. It's just That's just a team I'm keeping my eye on. You know, with the past success they've had in a couple of years, like that's a team I'm going, all right, that's a big win. If they figure some things out, dangerous team. A dangerous team for sure in March.
Mhm.
But I mean,
All just depends on how Solo Ball plays. If he
yeah,
plays great, they usually win. But if he don't, they
yeah.
usually struggle down the stretch.
I mean, to kind of like combat that though, like just for like argument's sake, isn't that really with any team? Like their best player doesn't do his thing, they're gonna struggle. Like if Cooper Flag has an off game, Duke's liable to get beat. You see what I'm saying? Like if Denai Broom doesn't have a great game, Auburn's liable to get beat. If Mark Sears has an off game for Alabama, they're liable to get beat.
I,
I just like to say that for any team though is like, yeah, if their best player has an off game, they're gonna lose.
I, I do know UConn kind of got an easy road 2 years ago. They got a really easy road to the Final Four. So it just depends on what matchups, like I said.
Sure, yeah, like 100%.
I know. I just don't think the UConn team is as deep. Like as a Duke or Auburn, Duke and Auburn are much deeper teams. For example, you mentioned Cooper Flag. I know a few games back he had an off game, and then what's his name? Colin Knuckle had like 30 points or something insane like that. And then Auburn.
I guess my argument is that like if your best player has an off game and the rest of the team is not really having a great game offensively, you're gonna drop a game. That's for any team in America, I feel like. I know it's not a hot take by any means, but that's just
that's what happens to Purdue when Brady Smith decides he wants to turn the ball over 8 or 9 times in a row.
Exactly, you get it. But you got anything else you want to add or something you want to start pivot to? What you got?
I was thinking we could go to some of the Big Ten games.
Okay.
Start off with Michigan State and USC.
Yeah.
That was a massive one for the Big Ten title race.
Mm-hmm. Big one for Eric Musselman, too.
I know USC's kind of struggled. They've had a couple good wins over Illinois and Michigan State. Michigan State is due for a loss.
Yeah.
They've had a couple games where teams gave them a game, but they just pulled it out. They kind of went on the road, and with the new Big Ten scheduling, just going out west, it kind of throws you off your game. It kind of happened to Purdue when we went to Washington. We didn't shoot that great.
Yeah.
But that's a big one for the Big Ten title game. Title race. You got Purdue and Michigan right there. Purdue had a big win over Indiana on Friday night. We'll kind of get into that in a minute. This is a side note. But Michigan State, they just got dominated by USC. Kind of what happened when USC played Illinois. USC just shot lights out and played good.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how Michigan State does against UCLA on Tuesday, because UCLA has been beaten up here recently. They just beat. Who did they just beat? They beat somebody.
Who are you talking about? Who'd you say?
UCLA.
Oh shoot! I
They beat somebody.
I can't remember the team for some reason. Hold up.
I don't think they. Yeah, me too.
This doesn't bother me.
Or
who?
UCLA beat Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Pretty pulled it up. Yeah.
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Yeah,
they did beat Oregon.
Yeah. So UCLA's been bouncing back after a rough start to conference play.
Yeah, I mean they've won a couple in a row now, so good for them.
That'll be a big game between Michigan State and UCLA.
Yeah.
Tuesday night is going to be a big night for the Big Ten.
Yeah, who's Purdue got next?
Iowa, at Iowa.
Are you a little nervous?
So that should be when. I don't get nervous against Iowa.
I hope that doesn't come back to life. I hope that doesn't come back to relief. I hope it ages well for you.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's Rick Mountain night, and then there's a whole story with that.
Yeah.
But do you have anything else on the Michigan State USC game?
I mean, just to add, like, kind of what you said, Michigan State came in there red hot. And like you said, they were due for a loss. They had won 13 straight games. But that's really all I got to say is Michigan State came in there red hot. And that's just a really good win for USC. Eric Musselman and USC.
I know, yeah, Tom Izzo, this is Tom Izzo's best team since, like, 2019. They've just been playing physical defense. They don't have that much in the way of offense other than Atkins and I forget the other guy's name. They have a couple guards that you can shoot usually, but they do most of their win through physical defensive play. Do most of their winning. And that just didn't work against a USC team that was on fire yesterday. I think that's all I've got to say about that one.
Yeah, that's all I got for that one. But yeah, if you want to say that any other games in the Big Ten that caught your interest?
I know Michigan just how would I describe this? They just snuck past Rutgers yesterday.
Yeah. It
was the final of 66-63.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Michigan, it feels like they keep finding ways to win, but they almost never cover, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like you said, like with the Big Ten standings, we're only a game behind Michigan State. Like, it's getting very close up there. Like, Michigan State's won Purdue too, and then Michigan's like only a game behind. Like, things getting interesting in the Big Ten for the regular season title.
It's getting really tight. Two games that are looming large out here in the future. Michigan plays Purdue at home, and then Michigan State plays Purdue at home as well.
Yeah.
But Michigan sneaking by Rutgers. Rutgers has looked a lot better these past couple weeks. Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. I kind of carried because Rutgers doesn't have much else to them, but I think there was something controversial happened with that game as well, but I forget what it was.
I really didn't watch this game, to be honest with you, so I really don't know if there was anything like crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe we got it right here. Is it lighting for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to be sure it wasn't me. Shout out Trey Donaldson, by the way.
Yeah.
I had to add that in there.
He shot lights up the other night. I forget who it was against.
Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember who they were playing. I think he had a game winner, no?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, he had a game winner against whoever Michigan played before this.
I forget who.
I can't remember who they played, but
I do know Wisconsin beat somebody yesterday.
Oh, Wisconsin beat Minnesota.
No, Washington played. It was Washington beat Minnesota, and then Wisconsin played
Northwestern.
I think it was Northwestern.
Yeah, it was. I got it pulled up now. I don't know why I said. I don't know why I said what I said.
I do have one thing to note. Wisconsin, of course, beat Northwestern, but Northwestern, they just lost their leading scorer for the year, Brooks Barnheiser. That's a tough loss for them because they had two guys that were most of their offensive production. Brooks Barnheiser and Nico Martinelli. So they're gonna have a tough road here down the stretch in Big Ten play.
That is pretty brutal. That's a tough loss. So anytime you lose your leading scorer, that's a hard way to go out for sure. But kind of to pivot back to Michigan, like when they hired Dusty May, like that was a home run hire. Stealing him from FAU, I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like they knocked this one out of the park. And they also, to add to it, if you're a Michigan person or a Michigan fan, like Ohio State was interested in Dusty May, I'm pretty sure, and they bumped Ohio State out for Dusty May, which is fascinating to me, which is just hilarious. Like I love stuff like that. I love when like the rivalry like goes off the field to like hiring coaches and stuff like that. And, like it's just overall like a lifestyle. Like just kind of just to add that in there. I thought that was hilarious to me.
Hey Cody, can we go to the some of the other top 25 scores just to see if there's what other games you haven't covered yet?
While you do that, I'll be right back. All right.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's not waiting yet. I was gonna say. Oh yeah, there's one more game I wanted to cover. A couple more games I wanted to cover. Penn State. That's who. Michigan beat Penn State on a buzzer beater earlier in the week. Trey Donaldson hit a game winner. Michigan kind of got lucky against Penn State. Dusty May has been a great hire for him. You'll get into that in a minute. I just wanted to kind of pivot back to the game I was at yesterday. I'll wait till William gets back. Wake Forest and Wake Forest versus Pittsburgh. Because I am in Winston-Salem, I decided to take in a game at Wake Forest since the game was at noon. I was like, and plus it was only $20 to get in, so. Let's pivot to let's talk about that Wake Forest Pittsburgh game.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Obviously, because you were there.
Yeah. I kind of led off. It was one of the best games of the early games. A lot of the early games are kind of blowouts or not too close.
Yeah.
Wake Forest, they're fighting for a tournament bid. I'm kind of in a weak ACC, but they played pretty good. They came out and played pretty good. What's his name? Cameron Hildreth. He had an excellent game. Down the sea, he was their leading scorer. I think he had like 24 points or 26 points for Wake Forest. Hunter Salas hit the game, or pretty much ended the game with a 3. He played good. Yeah. It was a good game, but the refs were not too great. We talked about the refereeing is not that good in college basketball. There was something like 40, over close to 40 or 50 fouls called in this game. I think. I could be wrong.
I still stand by my theory that I said earlier, that they're telling them to be so bad officiating so they can replace them with AI. I still stand by that with how bad it is. Like, it's awful. I mean, 35 fouls is crazy.
It took forever to get to the end of the first half. They called the last 5 minutes of the first half. They called I think they called 15.
See, and nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, it just killed the flow of the game. Wake Forest had gone on a run, and the refs immediately started calling fouls.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before we started the show, it makes it hard for both sides to get into a rhythm offensively, and also it's just not a good product for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the people who watch every game, they're like, all right, what is this? Like, we're trying to watch a basketball game, not a ref show. It sucks. It's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, they ran out of fouls to call.
Yeah.
And Wake Forest played a great game. They got the win, so that helps their NCAA tournament odds, and so slightly.
Yeah.
But one thing we got to mention is the end of the game. There was an insanely bad beat.
Oh,
With
look
like
away,
Wake
Travis.
Forest, Wake Forest had pretty much won the game. If it was just chucking threes, they had chucked the three and then got a rebound, and then chucked one again and made it
Yeah.
with like with no time left on the clock. It was a
80
repeat.
and done, dude.
Yeah.
It was Pitt's leading scorer. He
Mhm.
went down there and shot a meaningless three to cover the 2.5. And like, fortunately, I didn't have the 2.5, but like, unfortunately, our boy Travis had the 2.5, and I'm sure he was pretty hot when he saw that. Like, I would
Yeah.
be too. That would drive me nuts. Like, we squeaked by with like a 0.5 cover, and then this guy goes down the other side of the court and shoots a meaningless three with like 3 seconds to go. It's like, all right, man. It's that's stuff like that makes it so like infuriating at times to bet on games.
Mhm. That's why I don't bet basketball most of the time because
Yeah.
like insane out of the ordinary stuff like that happens. I do. This is like the second game in the past 2 weeks that's kind of happened. Wake's beating a team and they chuck up a meaningless shot at the buzzer to not even win the game, just to cover the spread. Like,
Yeah, if they're shooting a three to like potentially win the game or tie it, I get
yeah.
it. But there's no like when you're down 4 and you shoot a three and there's not any time left, makes 0 sense to me. Like it's clear that the game's over. Just dribble it out. Man. Just dribble it out. Like if for some reason there's any college basketball players watching this, and you guys know that the game's over, just don't take the shot. Just dribble it out and go home. Take your L. It's all right. Like there's no point in losing by 4 by 1. You still lost. You still lost. Like, that's the better in me getting fired up about that and getting pretty angry. But I concur. I move on. Because if you gave me the time, I could talk 30 minutes about that stuff when people do something like that in any sport. Just infuriating me.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers it. Is there any other top 25 games you want to talk about?
We covered Duke, UNC. We covered Arkansas. We covered Auburn. There's Bama, Georgia, but Bama kind of controlled that whole game. Not really much there. Texas A&M got a win on the road. I think they played South Carolina. I think that's who it was.
Yeah, they can talk.
If we just see that top 25, Cody, if you don't mind, so to see
Yeah, that'd be good.
What restaurant are you at?
Kickback Jacks.
I've never heard that.
It's like I think it may be like a North Carolina chain. I know we have one in Johnson City, so.
Shout out Johnson City. But yeah, I've never heard of a Kickback Jacks. I mean, is it just like kind of like a B-dubs?
Yeah, I'd say it's better than B-dubs. It's like, really? I think they have better food.
Did you notice the ECU flag in the back?
Yeah, they have like all the Carolina schools. They have like ECU, App State, Winston-Salem State, NC, of course, the Carolina 4.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, they have like a Virginia Tech and Ohio State flag back there. I don't know why they have that.
That's sick. Travis said, oh, yeah, good point, Travis. He said 9 minutes ago, give the Valley their love.
Yeah, the 2 lowest rated teams in college basketball, Mississippi Valley State and I believe Arkansas Pine Bluff, play each other yesterday.
Let's see.
I was trying to remember the other school. Who was the bottom? Mississippi Valley State got the W, though. So they will move up. Maybe they'll move up a position and not be the worst team in America. I think they're 1-19 now or something like that.
Which team is? Say that one more time.
Mississippi Valley State.
They're 3-19 now.
3-19.
Yeah, and then University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, they're 3-18. So just 2 bad teams playing, man. Which you gotta love it though. You gotta take it for what it is and love it, especially when it's a close game like this. I haven't watched this yet, so I'm excited to see what happens. I've heard about it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
The Delta Unions. Shout out Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, that's where he went to Mississippi Valley State. That's where he went to school.
I knew he went there, but I thought that was just a funny shout out.
Yeah.
Dude, isn't he? What former wide receivers are coach now? Or am I just imagining things? Like, didn't a former wide receiver go somewhere and be a coach?
Deshaun Jackson at Delaware State.
Yes. He's a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, he's a head coach at Delaware State.
Oh, I thought you said he's a coach at Florida State. Oh, yeah.
No, Delaware State.
Yeah, dude. Dude, that's the Dion effect.
HBCU.
That's that Dion effect. Like, he went at Jackson State, then he went to Colorado, and now, like, you see Mike Vick is a coach somewhere now, too.
Norfolk State. I think he'll do a better job than Deshaun Jackson, to be completely honest.
Probably. So there's 5. Is that a game or is there still time left? This says 5 seconds. I can't tell.
I think it's game. Yeah. I love the announcers for the Mississippi Valley State announcer on their games. I don't know if you've ever seen him.
I haven't. Oh, I hear it now. My bad for pivoting, by the way. That's on me. I pivoted a little too much during this.
I know their last game, I think he was like, then he scored and he like started singing Tweaker by Angelo Ball.
Okay, I gotta talk about that. Tweaker, unironically, is a pretty good song.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, Travis, if you're still in the chat here and you're listening, which I hope you are, we were playing it. He was in Auburn like a week ago or something like that with me. Dude, Tweaker, kind of a banger. That's one of those, like, one you'll kind of, like, make fun of every now and then. But then, like, when you're by yourself, you're like, I might swerve in that corner. Whoa, whoa. Like, you catch yourself singing it. I'm like, all right. Kind of a good song. A little bit of a Let's see if he says anything. I hope he does.
Can we finish strong? Oh! He beat the Charles. He beat the Charles pass. The crowd is letting the Hornets hear it. The crowd is letting the Hornets hear it.
I like that. That's awesome.
Those announcers are crazy, man.
That's awesome, dude.
So hilarious.
I can't believe I've never heard that before. That's a game changer. I'm going to have to go watch that. Like, listen to that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
like multiple clips of that.
Yeah.
They just say crazy stuff.
So that I like even more to, like, their student commentators. So, like, you can tell, like, that they're just having fun with it. I love that. That's sick. That's so sick, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly go through a few games, a few other games, and I think we'll call it a show.
Okay. I mean, we've been going for about an hour. So
Yeah. We had a good show. I know a couple of the mid-major games I'd like to talk about. SoCon play. Chattanooga took care of business against Mercer.
Shout out.
Canoe up in Saints. Mercer gave it a go, but that's a really big game in SoCon stands. But the other big game of the day was Wofford beat UNCG. UNCG came off of a big win over my Bucks, unfortunately. So they were tied with Stanford, but now Stanford has the lead again because Wofford beat UNCG on yesterday.
Yeah, there we go.
Wofford's been an inconsistent team. They've lost they lost to like VMI, and then they'll beat UNCG, and they lost to Stanford. They're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
In terms of scoring.
Yeah.
But that's another big one for SoCon race. Shout out VMI. They continue to win games. They had something like, I forgot, they had like single-digit wins last year.
Yeah.
This year they have like 11 wins. They beat Western Carolina in overtime yesterday.
I see that.
Today, other SoCon I think the game just about started. ETSU plays Furman today, so it'll be that's another big one for the SoCon standings.
Did I see that Sanford was number 1? Oh, shout out
Yeah.
UNA, by the way. Shout out the Lions. So wait, Sanford was number 1?
Yeah, Sanford and UNCG were tied till UNCG lost to Wofford yesterday. Sanford had to play, or Sanford played Citadel, which is the worst team in the conference by far.
Shout out Sanford. Put the state of Alabama on the map. We appreciate you. Want to give some love to the boys over at Sanford.
They're a good team, but I'm not a big fan of Bucky McMillan. But that's just because of his personality on the court.
Yeah. I think that's sick, though, because, like, other than, like, the University of Alabama, I'll pull for other teams in the state of Alabama because I'm from here. Like, I hope they do well. Like, it's cool seeing Sanford, being top of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. You're an ETSU guy, right?
Yeah, I'm an ETSU guy.
What's going on there, man? What do they got to do to fix it?
They just got to play. It's just mental errors. Like, they just let too many turnovers. Really should. There's several games we should have won. We should have won against UNCG. We should have won against Chattanooga. Should have won again. We honestly should be unbeaten in SoCon play, but we've just blown so many games this year with turnovers. Our leading scorers. What?
You're saying it's just basically just mental errors, pretty much.
Yeah, mental errors.
Okay.
That and free throw shooting.
Yeah.
Because we have good players: Mari Peters, Jaden Seymour, and John Buggs. Like those top 4. They are freaking good. And then the freshmen, Makai Johnson and Gabe Sisk, they're both developing into great players.
Yeah.
So
you got some dogs on the roster, dude.
Yeah. I know. What really hurts ETSU is they lack a true inside game. Like the centers, they just haven't played great.
Yeah.
They got a couple guys in the portal that just haven't done anything. Wheeler,
with your centers though, do you think they'll come along like eventually though? Like it's one of those things where like they're kind of feeling stuff out and they'll like eventually get better.
I know the one, our freshman guy that redshirted, he might be good, and then Wheeler, he might be good next year.
Yeah.
What's the one guy? Oh, what's his name? Bradford.
Oh, Davion Bradford up there.
Davion Bradford. I don't know about him. I think he's just like injured. I think he's just like he is probably done playing basketball. Because he was a transfer. He transferred. He was at. He's been at Wake Forest and New Mexico State. He didn't play there.
Kansas State and Wake Forest.
Yeah, he's just kind of had injury. A lot of injuries.
I mean, his first year, like as a freshman, he averaged 7 points per game. So, like, that's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just injury prone. Like he's a good player,
yeah.
But he hurts a bunch.
Yeah. He just, if he could stay on the court and have a rhythm and all, I think he would be good. You know, but
yeah.
At this point in his career, it's looking rough.
You think he'll come back for another year because of the injuries? Like he'll get more eligibility?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I have no clue, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I got you. I'm just trying to learn more about ETSU because, like, I know you're a fan of them, and like, I don't know much about them, so I'm trying to like figure stuff out about them and learn more.
Roosevelt Wheeler, he's good, but he like fouls too much. Like he'll just foul.
Mm-hmm.
He has foul issues.
Yeah.
Now that ETSU guard play is insane. Mari Peterson, apparently he had like 90 agents contact him in the offseason. Seymour is a dog. Yeah. John Buggs is a walking bucket. He's from the 3-point line. He's like, he takes shots and you're like, dang, That wasn't a good shot in Mason. He's kind of like.
I mean, he's y'all's leading 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Like he's shooting 43% from three. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that Peterson dude, he looks like a bucket. 18 shooting.
He is.
He leads. What stats does he lead on? Obviously, he leads you in points, but like he leads you in assists too. He leads you in steals. This guy's a dog.
He is a dog.
And you got Jaden Seymour. He leads you in rebounds, leads you in blocks, and like.
See, I love Seymour because he stayed through. He was a Desmond Oliver recruit.
Yeah.
He stayed through that coaching change. He's developed. He put on a lot of weight in between his junior and his junior year.
I mean, if you just look at his numbers, he's gotten better every single year. Like his first year at Wichita State, averaging pretty much 2 points, 4.5, 8.7, 14.7. Like he's just gotten constantly better year after year. Like, you think he'll be an NBA draft pick? Is he good enough?
I could see him being like an undrafted free agent. Honestly, okay. He has a good 3-point shot. He's he's like good small forward, power forward type. Because he can hit threes. And he's a good rebounder. He's physical.
So he'll be more like a G League kind of guy, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, and that's not a bad thing whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad thing at all. Let's see. You got anything else you want to add about ETSU or any other games or something?
I think that's all I got. I want to get off of here and watch the game. But
yeah.
They're playing Furman. That's a big one. I think that's all I've got. They're playing Furman today.
Oh, okay.
It's on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah. I'll make sure to tune into that one. But
I think – is there anything else you want to talk about game-wise?
I think we covered most all the big games.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a lot of blowouts, but I feel like the most important stuff we covered, we talked about the SEC. We talked about Duke UNC. We kind of debated the National Player of the Year for a little bit there. Yeah, we talked about the SoCon and stuff. So I think we're good. I think we covered most everything. But
I do know Gonzaga or St. Mary's beat Gonzaga.
Yeah, I watched the end of that. Yeah, they did.
That was a big win for them. I think St. Mary's is going to be a tough out in March.
Yeah. Wait, you're saying St. Mary's won or Gonzaga won?
St. Mary's.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Gonzaga won. I was like, wait a minute. So I was watching that and I was confused for a second.
Yeah. St. Mary's won. I think Brandon Bennett's doing an excellent job there.
For sure. But, yeah, man. Well, I'll let you get business. Get to it, handle business, and just, feel like that was a good stream, man.
I think it's a good stream, too. Thank you all for everybody that tuned in. It's kind of a rough episode, but it worked out.
We had a little adversity, but we figured it out.
But, we'll talk to you all later.
Yep.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.
Thank you.